This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion. And here we go. I'm an hour late getting to it once again. Dave Tippett had his press conference about an hour or so ago, and I just wanted to get to it. I just actually got home from watching that World Juniors game. Canada crap in the bed against Russia, but that said, all fine and dandy there. World Juniors, Olivier Rodrigue not in net for a 6-0 loss. We don't need to worry. What we do need to worry about, ladies and gentlemen, is the simple fact. Yes, we put Manning. Yes, we put Granlund on waivers this morning. That's key. We've already discussed that. 200 and some odd 50 of you have watched the video, and I appreciate that. But now comes the extra piece. What Dave Tippett's little press conference with the media brings out in the Oilers today. Now, what do we know? What do we know about the Oilers after Game 41? It's very clear. The Oilers come into the second half of the season sliding, barely getting by, just doing the bare minimum to survive kind of deal, right? We're in a playoff spot. We're 2 points out of first place. By the end of tonight, we will be a minimum of 4 points out of first place. Yes, okay, you want to do the math? Arizona plays Vegas. Both are tied at 46, both atop the division. One of them's going to win. One of them's going to lose, whether it be in overtime or whatever. One of them's going to get 2 points to push it to 48 while we're still idle at 44. So right there, fine and dandy. Now, okay, anyone who wants to say we're going to have to compete for a playoff spot, guys, what have we been doing since Game 1? I'm sorry, you play a full 82-game schedule to compete for a playoff spot. It's not just you magically make a playoff spot and you stay there the rest of the year. So anybody who's worried about competing for a playoff spot in the next 41 games, just hone in, calm down, relax. Don't fall off the wagon. We're good. We're fine. We're dandy. Things just need to be changed. Now, the things coming out of Dave Tippett's press conference that are important is, as I said, the Oilers do come into the second half sliding, and that is imperative. In a quote Dave Tippett said, it's the Oilers' best practice was today of the past 6 weeks. He blamed the schedule, yes, but he also took some ownership and blamed the coaching staff. So honestly, after doing that Granlund Manning video, I was sitting here trying to come up with my second topic of the day, and I was ready to lay into Dave Tippett. In fact, I was on the phone with Buddy up in Cold Lake, and I was talking about, like, is it time to just sit here and lay into Dave Tippett for being a clown with what he's done with the with the player deployment the past few months? No, it's not, because I've already been doing that for the past 2 months. So I don't need to repeat myself for a millionth time. So then all of a sudden it's like, well, you know what? I got to double check that Dave Tippett press conference, which I did. And you know what? You get that quote, the best practice in the past 6 weeks. If the Oilers haven't been practicing hard, how do you expect them to have any intensity in games? That's the key. I'm sorry. You go back to Junior B. Let me go back to Junior B for a second. And any coach I've ever known in Junior B that says practice this week was crap, you should see the look on their face, read it, analyze it. It tells you that the game isn't gonna be good. And in Junior B, practice is crap for a lot of reasons. Guys have work, this or that. But if you're not bringing the intensity in practice, if you don't bring up that compete level, guess what? It's hard to start a game on time. It's hard to come out and compete. It's hard to do that if you're not doing it in practice. If you're not practicing being a tough team to play against, how can you be a tough team to play against? I'm sorry, this Oilers team, yes, I like this Oilers team. I think they can do a lot of good things. No matter how hard of a team they are on the ice, they are not a team that just can't practice and go out there and excel. They're not a team that can do that, and that's what's been showing. This is why it's such an important quote by Dave Tippett to say it's the best practice in 6 weeks. Guys, think about where we were 6 weeks ago. Shall I go back there? All right, so it's December 28th, so go back a month, back to November 28th, and then let's go back 2 weeks. The Oilers, well, 2 weeks in, so let's say the 14th. Lost a game 6-2 to Colorado. Lost a game 5-4 to Dallas. Won a game 5-2 against the San Jose Sharks. Lost 5-1 against the LA Kings. Won 4-2 against the Vegas Golden Knights. Won 4-3 in a shootout against the Arizona Coyotes. So you know what? Yeah, you know what? We were doing okay. We technically speaking went 1-1, 2-1, 2-1-1, 3-1-1, 3-2-1, 5-2-1 6 weeks ago in that span. And that's when the schedule got really hectic. And I understand where Dave Tippett's preaching it. And that's one thing I haven't mentioned is how hectic the schedule was. Because I was just trying to survive myself. Trying to survive with work and trying to get this Oilers stuff done. But you look at it, right? We were 5-2-1 in that stretch in November, going from the 10th to the 24th. And we were playing pretty decent hockey at that point. But it caught up with us, I guess. Risky business is as risky business does. When you don't practice hard, suddenly habits start falling away, and that's exactly how we ended up where we are today. So now the next thing that Dave Tippett mentioned is Benning was practicing in a non-contact jersey, so hopefully by the end of the skills competition, the 30th, we'll know if he's ready to go. And then this is where it gets going, is I thought, talking with Buddy on the phone in Cold Lake, we kind of put it together that if the Oilers are going to make a move to call somebody up from Baco, let's go back to those waiver send-downs, right? So if somebody's going to get called up from Bakersfield, it's going to be probably somebody like Cave, Benson, Yamamoto, or Marudi up front, right? That's kind of your 4 big fish that would be called up. Curry, Gambardella in that second tier. Okay. Here's the problem. Look at that Bakersfield Condors schedule, because guys, if you're begging for somebody to be called up right now, you're not going to get it. In fact, I don't even believe Tippett saying this is who we'll call up after tonight. I don't believe it, because Bakersfield plays the Stockton Heat today at home, and then they play tomorrow at 5 p.m. against the San Jose Barracuda. So that's the 29th. So the reason I don't believe tonight's game being the decision maker is just the simple fact there's 2 games to go this weekend. Why wouldn't you want to see who has what and get them up here well, after that one? So call them up actively for the 30th and get them on a plane the night of the 29th. And hold on. So there we go. It's just as simple as that to me anyway. That's what I'd be thinking. But that said, who really knows, right? If the Oilers want to make that decision right now, it's fair enough. The Oilers can make that decision and get the job done. But you look at it this way as well, it's tough because you want to make sure you get those kids as many games in, and especially Benson, Yamamoto, get them another game against the San Jose Barracuda and then get them up here. So that's the key point there. But this is the other side. Is Dave Tippett's little press conference brought one other key point that I've kind of said about this Oilers lineup, and it's the stale aspect. It's how stale this Oilers lineup is. Purpose is the key word. That's what Dave Tippett was strategizing. He said we have to play with purpose, but the problem is the league has figured out how to shut down McDavid and Draisaitl. Guess what? You figure out how to do that. If you game plan for Draisaitl and McDavid, you don't have to game plan for anyone else. Not because everyone else sucks, but because if you're game planning for the best players in the NHL in its entirety right now, you figured it out. You've figured out how to play perfect hockey. I'm sorry, you figured out 100% how to shut down the best players in the NHL. You figured out how to shut down anybody. Simple as that. You figured out how to shut down anybody. And Jeff Ward actually had a good little quote yesterday before the Flames game. I don't have it word for word here, but what I remember of it is he basically said all our guys, the Flames, have to be ready to play against them, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. They play a lot. So you think about this, right? You have 4 lines. You don't just game plan 1A, 1B shutdown lines to shut down Draisaitl and McDavid. No, you shut down 4 lines of Draisaitl, McDavid, and suddenly you are able to shut down the Oilers 100%. You can shut down any team in the NHL if you game plan to shut down Draisaitl and McDavid with all 4 lines. It's as simple as this. And the other side too, guys, back to what I've always said about this Oilers team, there's the over-reliance on McDavid, and McDavid's the biggest issue. McDavid is the biggest issue, not because he's a problem in the locker room, not because he's a problem on the ice, but the problem is the McDavid factor. Everybody thinks he can do everything for them, so they don't do as much as they can, right? They don't play their role. They just think McDavid can do everything, so they let him do what he does. That's always been a problem with the Oilers, especially last year, more again this year, and it's an over-reliance on McDavid and Draisaitl to get the job done from everybody else, just trying to do the back end of things. Well, guess what? You got to do everything that you are capable of. That's why you're in the NHL. You're not in the NHL because you can only penalty kill. You're not in the NHL because you can only do this. You're an NHL player. You're supposed to do everything. Team cohesion. That's exactly the word there that Dave Tippett used. And then the key fact is we have 9 games in January. So for the next pretty much, how would you word it? The next 32 days, 35 days, we have a total of 10 games. That's going to help. That's going to help this Oilers team a lot. But guys, that's where I'm going to leave it for right now. So you understand where I'm going, right? The call-ups probably after tonight. I don't buy it, probably tomorrow. And then we'll start talking about who's coming up. But at least we have notes on Benning. The practice is a really weird one, but a good one to have. And there's a lot going on here for this Oilers team. Guys, I'm Tyson. This is Dolynny TV. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below.